Hello everybody, it is Chad here, and welcome back to another exciting episode of every animated movie of the year. And we are back after a brief hiatus that we went on for Disney Month, and we've got some catching up to do. I was surprised to discover how much a lot of you guys had actually missed this series. Once a few films came out in September, and I had no episodes out reviewing them, you guys let me know. So it's nice to know that there was a fondness in its absence. So let's get into it. I saw both of the animated movies that came out in theaters near me during September. First up, we saw Storks from Warner Animation Group, the same folks who brought us the Lego Movie. So, Storks is a pretty streamlined and simple story. We enter a world where storks have stopped delivering babies and begun delivering products. Think Amazon.com. So the main character, Junior, is right on the cusp of becoming the boss of the branch, but on the eve of his promotion, the awkward human orphan Tulip, who lives at the factory, accidentally creates a baby from the decommissioned baby machine, which turns out wasn't so decommissioned after all. So it falls to Junior to deliver this last baby very smoothly so he can receive his promotion a few days later. Of course, he injures his wing when he shuts down the baby machine, so he needs Tulip's help, who is a pilot and has a plane, to deliver the package, and hijinks ensue. Now, based on a lot of tweets I've received and some reviews that I've heard, people seem to generally like this movie, but I'm kind of landing on the other side with this one. Think back to the plot description I just gave. It is your classic road trip movie. Two unlikely characters forced to deliver something or travel somewhere together, and surprise, surprise, by the end of it all, they have learned to like each other and become friends. The movie is so aggressively set on this formula that it delivers really no surprises and makes it hard for the characters to feel memorable, at least to me. Now, you may be remembering that I called out The Secret Life of Pets for also adopting a really standard plot format, but the difference is, Pets takes the tried and tested formula and builds on it with some really rich character development moments and some peppered in deliberate changes to the expected tropes. And I really don't see that with Storks. They really stay on the rails of Road Trip Movie 101, right down to the pesky character giving chase along the way. And the result to me is a movie that I'll probably forget a few years down the road. See, here's the thing, these commonly used story structures keep popping up in films for a reason. It's because they can be a method of delivering a great story, but only if the film builds on the story structure and doesn't just parrot it back verbatim. The movie rests very, very heavily on the performance of Andy Samberg, and in fairness, he does a really great job and works well as an animated character, but Andy Samberg just kind of has one mode, and you're getting it no matter what. In Popstar and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, in most of his characters on SNL, he's kind of just the same character, so if you don't like Andy Samberg, that's probably gonna be a hang-up for you, but luckily I do enjoy his stuff. Also, on the subject of voice cast, I was super let down with Key and Peele's characters. When I saw the trailers, I was really excited to see them play this pair of bizarre wolves who'd be chasing the protagonists. I'm a massive fan of their show, and the roles seem so perfect to me. Trouble was, they aren't really in the movie that much at all. The scenes they do have, I thought were the best parts of the movie. They're hilarious. But ultimately, I feel like they wasted two brilliant comedians. And for what? To add in this sort of come-at-me-brah frat boy pigeon character? I mean, that guy was kind of funny, but those are jokes that are funny in like 2015, 2016, and that kind of humor is not really going to hold up well. I'm sure this movie does not care about holding up well, but it kind of irked me a little bit to see Key and Peele giving these great performances, and then they are kind of taking a back seat to this over-the-top caricature 2016 come-at-me-brah joke characters.
This tiny thing is now a wolf, everybody! It's a wolf! And I declare that because I'm the alpha!
Okay, what's that? What'd he say?
What did he say?
Can't hear you in back.
We can't hear you in the back. What do you say about the wolf?
What
about the thing?
What's he talking about?
You say it's a wolf now?
Action for Roger's family, brah. Hi, brah. 100 on top of side, brah.
A little annoyed about that, but look, here's the deal. I know it sounds like I just hate this movie, but that's not the case. It was fun enough, and it had some laughs to its credit, but just kind of felt middle of the pack for me, no wolf pun intended. As for its placement on the list, well, we will touch on that after we get into the wildlife. So I can already hear the comments yelling at me, but you know what? The wildlife was actually kind of refreshing to me. Not saying it was amazing or anything, but at least it was different. So you guys will have heard me talk in the past about how this was the only real 3D movie coming out this year. And what I mean by that is the movie wasn't just made with a little bit of extra depth, which is kind of just what they do very cheaply to make movies in 3D now. This movie was made for 3 dimensions, so there is stuff way back in the screen, and there are things popping out at you to where you could like put your hand out to see if something is there. Now I know this isn't everybody's bag, and it's probably actually really annoying to some people to have like bird beaks and planks of wood like shooting into your face, but to me, that's what 3D used to be. When I was a kid, we would go to the IMAX theater and see these underwater movies in 3D, and the fish would swim right by your face. So to me, that's what 3D should be. It shouldn't just be like, okay, we finished making Finding Dory, let's just go ahead and press this 3D button, and now it's like a little bit deeper than it was. And now we make triple the money. Wow. So that in and of itself was really great, just that nostalgic 3D feeling. But since Wildlife is like way gone out of theaters, I'll try not to factor the 3D in too much to this whole ranking system. But even still, I really enjoyed the visuals of this movie outside of the 3D. The camera work is really unique and clearly thought through, and the textures were a breath of fresh air compared to the smooth, plasticky look of most animated films these days. I think because the movie was so geared for its 3D aspect, there's a lot of care put into the camera shots and framing, so I really enjoyed that and think it deserves some props. Now, as for the plot, well, the fact that this movie is actually Robinson Crusoe is baffling and completely unnecessary. It should have just been presented as a guy who crash-landed on an island and befriends some animals, which is what it is. The movie is actually a Belgian-French film and was originally titled Robinson Crusoe, but was changed to The Wildlife for American audiences, because, you know, we're really into this whole talking animals thing this year. Now let me say, I am very familiar with the story of Robinson Crusoe from both the book and the Pierce Brosnan film, which I used to love, and I can assure you that this movie pretty much has nothing to do with Robinson Crusoe aside from the character's name, so I really don't know why the movie insisted on including him. The movie means well, but it just never quite lands. You can feel that the movie really wants to have this lovable gang of quirky animals Madagascar vibe, but it's just way too late to that party. It gets caught between wanting to develop the animals and wanting to develop the human, and never really ends up developing either of them. I will, though, give serious kudos to the movie for actually killing off one of the likable animal characters in cold blood. That definitely hooked me into things when I saw it. Stakes always rise when you know characters can actually die. And perhaps that's in line with the movie feeling, generally joyless. They barely try for jokes, and honestly, some of the characters seem actually depressed, while others just seem bored, like they don't even want to be there. The main character, Mac the parrot's big dream was to explore the outside world and get off the island, and by the end of the movie, he just gives up on that dream entirely. Kinda depressing. Ultimately, the film is more like an episode of a show, so it doesn't have much of a grand arc or epic scale, just kind of a glimpse into a few days of a guy living on an island with a bunch of animals. Much like Storks, I found it pretty inoffensive and generally just really safe with no big risks, which is fine. But I do have to say that I think Wildlife is actually a lot better than the scathing reviews that it received. So how do these movies stack up? Well, let's throw to the list where Storks and The Wildlife find themselves at the 9 and 10 spots, respectively. Also, you may have noticed I bumped down The Secret Life of Pets a bit. I watched it a second time and didn't quite have the same love for it, although I did still really like it. And I just want to give you guys a quick, friendly reminder that this whole list, this project of seeing every movie and putting them in a list, is just based on my opinions and how I feel about these movies. And of course, some are going to resonate with me differently than they will resonate with you guys, and that is just fine, if not completely great. In fact, I'm happy that there's a couple really polarizing movies and picks and placements this year, and I hope that it gets even more crazy with the release of some really heavy hitters coming our way. So there we have it. We are all caught up and hurtling at a breakneck clip towards the end of the year with only a few films left, including but not limited to Disney's likely heavy hitter Moana and DreamWorks' Trolls. which is already off to a great start with the super mega JT hit Can't Fight the Feeling backing it up. So it should be interesting to see where everything lands. Also, don't forget that in January, before the Oscars, I will be doing a final episode, kind of a roundup of things, giving out some fun individual awards, best comedic performance, best visuals, reading some viewer tweets, hearing some of your guys' opinions on the movies of the year. Stuff like that. It should be an absolute blast. I'm really looking forward to that. So, yeah, that's about all I got for you guys, and I will see you next time, right here on Every Animated Movie of the Year.